to all of you present in this webinar today. And thank you very much to all to have come and joined at such a short notice. The first thanks goes to Girija for accepting our invitation at a very short notice again. It was just last week that I came to know about this, and we requested her to do one for us. And it was actually for our own PG students, but then we just got, we wanted to share this with more and more. So now we have SRM Katangattur, we have Tagore Dental College, we have Ramachandra Dental College, we have Chettinad and Satyabama also joining us. So we have a big group of students eagerly waiting to hear Dr. Girija.
Pleasure is mine.
First, Dr. Sujata, Professor, Department of Conservative Dentistry and Endodontics of SRM Dental College, to introduce the speaker.
Thank you, ma'am, and very good morning to one and all. And before I introduce the speaker of this day, I'm honored to be associated with SRM Dental College for past 19 years, and I have traveled with my HOD, Dr. Mahalakshmi, a dynamic personality, and my colleagues, Dr. Rajkumar, Dr. Kavita, for the other professors in our department, the readers, the lecturers of our department, and finally, our beloved PG students. And I'm very happy and privileged to introduce you, Girija ma'am.
Thank you.
1 minute. Dr. Girija Sajan has completed her BDS as the best outgoing student from KLE Dental College, Belgaum, and MDS in Conservative Dentistry and Endodontics from Bapuji Dental College, Davangere. She is currently the HOD and committee chairman of Vishnu Dental College, Bhimavaram, Andhra Pradesh. She is a recognized PhD guide and an active member of Board of Postgraduate Studies in NTR University of Health Sciences, Vijayawada. Dr. Girija, she is the course director of Magnification Enhanced Dentistry in her current college and has been practicing Magnification Assisted Dentistry for past 12 years. She has, to her credit, 53 national and international publications and has authored a textbook titled Different Obturation Technique for Internal Resorption Cavities, published by Lambert Academic Publishing. And I know ma'am from my UG days at Bapuji Dental College, Davangere, and she still looks the same, young, pretty. And she was one of my PG examiner as well at Savita Dental College, March 2000. And I want to inform you, ma'am, I never mentioned earlier that I was awarded best outgoing PG student in that batch, ma'am.
Oh, really? Congratulations. I didn't know, Sujata.
I have not told you at all. And
that's very bad.
I just remembered from your resume, you know.
Yeah. So, but anyway, yes, congrats.
I'm very happy to tell you that. And once again, on behalf of our department, we extend you a very warm welcome, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am, now.
Thank you. Okay, hope you all are able to see the screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Very happy morning to all of you. We are in Bhimavaram, that the east side of India, and you are also on the east side of India. I hope we are, as we are enjoying the rains, you people are also enjoying, I hope. We have good monsoon in Bhimavaram. And how about you there? Is it raining, Sujata?
Yes, no, it's bright sunshine, ma'am. It's not raining.
Good. Yeah, so it's supposed to be a nice morning then. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. It's really a happy morning only.
Happy morning. Yeah. So, dear, this I'm addressing actually the PG students as well as, of course, all my colleagues also. We all have traveled, a long way. Especially the PG students. The +2 is a very great, turnover point in their life. they have studied well, they gotten into BDS, successfully completed, and now they are joined the PG, and they are pursuing their career. And this is all for what? There's only one reason, that we want to improve our knowledge as well as clinical skill, only to improve the patient care, right? So everything I know is but a drop in the ocean of knowledge, said Albert Einstein. So knowledge is a big sea, how much ever we know, it is a small drop in the ocean itself. So we all are here to join the specialty, so that we have to dive deep into the sea to get the more pearls of knowledge and become successful as a clinician to relieve the pain of the patients. In the process, we all have, gathered a lot of knowledge, and key to treasure of knowledge is by reading. At our BDS level, we used to read a lot of textbooks, right? A lot of textbooks, and the notes of the teachers and all. We had accumulated a lot of knowledge. But now, as we have entered into a PG, that is a specialization, we also now read various other sources of information, like your journals and later definite websites and all those things. So basically, the reading is a key to treasure of knowledge. And this is all for only one motto, that is Kaizen. In Japanese method, it's a transforming of habits. So Kaizen meaning it's continuous improvement in life, throughout the life. And we all can take a small step at a time to improve our knowledge and get better into our life. So friends, with this, I welcome all of you to my presentation today on effective journal club presentation and critical appraisal of an article. So at this onset, I would like to thank Dr. Shiv Kumar, that is chairman of SRM group of colleges, Dr. K. Ravi, the principal, the dean of the SRM Dental College, and my lovely friend, Dr. Mahalakshmi, the dynamic lady, professor and head, and of course Sujata, my student, dear student, and now I'm proud to be calling her as my colleague, and all the faculty members and senior faculty members, Dr. Balgopalan, and other people who all are there, all HODs, and my dear PG students. So I welcome you all to join this journey of learning or in the presentation of effective journal club presentation. So these are the contents under which I'll be talking about this topic. That's what's a journal club presentation about, and why we have to do the JC, and how do we select a proper journal, and how to select an appropriate article, and how do we prepare ourselves for the good presentation. And last but not the least, the very important aspect of the presentation is critical appraisal of the journal and the article. Yeah, so what's a club? Club, it's an association of two or more people united by a common interest or goal. We all know that, right? And we all are members of so many clubs like that. So a service club, for example, it exists for voluntary charitable activities. And of course, there are clubs devoted to hobbies. All of us are members of some of the other clubs, like, tennis club, yoga club, or disco club, right? And sometimes we sit together and we discuss certain aspects together. I remember my old days, when I was a BDS student, we were three friends, one Dr. Nandini and Dr. Shala and myself, and we used to sit together and discuss over the topics. Whatever happens on that day or any topic, we used to decide, we will read and come, and then we used to discuss. And we really used to enjoy that time. And learning also used to happen very well, because we all like-minded people, we used to discuss and we used to make other person understand if they're not able to. We never knew that time it is called as something called as, reading club or something, but we used to practice and we really enjoyed that. So we can have some academic activity also, where we can sit and discuss about something. So let us see what's a journal club actually. Journal club, it's a group of individuals who meet regularly to critically evaluate recent articles in the academic literature, generally of some branch of science or philosophy. So it's a group of people who are kind of interested together, or of the same wavelength of thinking. They meet regularly for what? To critically evaluate a recent article in the academic literature. Either it can be science or philosophy, but there will be some discussion that will be going on a particular topic of interest. So that we call it as a journal club. Right. So is it a new one, or has it got any history? Yeah, there is a history long back, Do you recognize this person? He is Dr. James Paget. He is very well. You all remember the Paget's disease. The disease was named after him because he invented that. And he was a surgeon in British hospital, right? Royal Hospital. And, can I tell you a story about him, a small story? Is that okay? Yeah. So they all used to, have their routine work in the hospital, and after doing the surgeries and all, evening they used to come out and, near the hospital gate, there was a baker shop. And above that, there was a small room, and these people and all his friends, they used to sit there and just have a casual chat about how was the surgery and what were the difficulties that were happened and how could be it can be improved or any new things are there, like that. They used to have a casual talk, and that it really was it developed into such a habit that everybody started liking. And then later he put it in his book of memoirs and letters. Sir James Paget, a British surgeon, who described a group at St. Bartholomew's Hospital in London as a kind of club, a small room over a baker's shop near the hospital gate, where we could sit and read the journals. That's how the journal club started, actually, well, long back. But scientifically, it was documented in 1875 by Sir William Osler in McGill University. So, for the purchase and distribution of periodicals to which he could ill afford to subscribe. We all know that the journals are, they're not very cheap. They're quite expensive. So everybody cannot afford to subscribe for all the journals. So that time also it used to happen like that. His friends and group of people, they could collect the money and they used to buy some journals, and they used to sit together and used to read and discuss about that. And that is the first documented as a journal club in 1875. Yeah, so we are talking about the journal club. So let us see the journal exactly what it is. Scientific journal. In academic publishing, a scientific journal is a periodic publication intended to further the progress of science, usually by reporting new research. It's an academic publishing, and it is a periodic publication. That means it can be either once in a year, biannual, triennial, or 4 times in a year. Like that, it has got a periodic publication. What is the intention? To further the progress of science, usually by reporting new research. So all the people or the doctors who are practicing this particular branch or particular dentistry will come to know about the new research. That's how all these journals are published. Like for example, BDJ, JCD, IEJ, JOE. There are many journals, you all know about that. So these are scientific academic publishing. Yeah, right. So journal is there, we can go and read. So why should we have a journal club? Yes, there is a rationale behind having the journal club. I want all of you to understand this. There are 3 important points I would like to discuss. One is to acquire knowledge of advanced literature in the field of study. Now, you all have entered, the conservative dentistry and endodontics as your field. So, what is the new thing that is happening in the field? That can be gathered by reading the journal club and by presenting the journal club. You'll be having knowledge of advanced literature. Second, you also will develop the skills of understanding and debating current topics of active interest. See, we need to understand. So we need to dissect the article and try to understand each and every part of the article. Only then we will be able to debate over the topic, right? So when we have to do the presentation, we need to really go and completely read the article, take out all the information, understand it completely. Only then we can present it nicely. So you're developing those skills also. At the same time, ability to critically appraise the evidence. Yeah, we all believe in EBD, evidence-based dentistry, right? That is the right way to follow the practice. And all these journals are supposed to give you the evidence regarding various either techniques or the material or, kind of a case reports they will discuss on those. But then, however, all the journals and all the articles or whatever they publish may not be of certain standard. So we need to understand what is the level of evidence that is put up in this article. Is it a good quality? Can we use it for our practice? So in this, by doing a journal club presentation, we will develop an ability to critically evaluate the article and try to find out what is the value of this article, whether it will be useful. So that ability also you want to develop. So friends, by doing a JC presentation, we will have good amount of knowledge in the advanced literature in our new field. We will develop the skills of understanding and debating the topic, and we also develop ability to critically appraise the evidence that is present in the article. Fine. We all would like to definitely do a successful journal club presentation, right? So there are certain characteristics of a successful journal club presentation. What is this? So it is said that Journal club, presentation should have a regular and anticipated meetings. It's not whenever we just feel like, one day we will meet and discuss like that. No, it should have a schedule. So people are supposed to have a schedule which is approved by your guide as well as the head of the department. And it is an anticipated meeting, particular day, particular time. And we all are supposed to meet there and have a journal club presentation. So appropriate meeting time and maybe, incentive like a cup of coffee will do. Okay. Yeah. So that is also a good way to have a simple and effective journal club presentation. So to do this journal club presentation in an effective way, are there any guidelines to follow? We need some guideposts, isn't it? So yeah, there are some guidelines which guide us through this walk. What are those? I would like to put them into 3 containers, the selection of a journal and the journal article, and how do we evaluate the article, and how do we actually do the presentation. So in the 3 compartments, I would like to discuss the presentation. Okay, now coming to select the journal. Which journal to choose? You go to library, there are racks filled with so many journals. Out of that, which journal I am going to choose? So you'll be in a confusion, right? But then there are guidelines to choose the journal also. So the journal is supposed to have a certain standard. So what are the journal which is supposed to have what are the standards the journal is supposed to have? Number 1, it should be a peer-reviewed journal. What do we mean by this? Peer review is the evaluation of work by 1 or more people of similar competence to the producer of the works, that is peers. Suppose we have done a research and then I have, experimented on a new the clinical treatment plan, and then I have done work, and then I would like to write a manuscript on that. So when we send it, the manuscript will be analyzed, evaluated by a peer, that is review members. Okay, there is a review board, and those peers who are having a equal competency or higher competency, they will read the manuscript and they will check for the validity or the value of the work. And then if it is of a good quality only, then it will be passed by the peer review, and then it goes for the further steps for the publication. So by selecting a journal which is having a peer review, then you have definitely the standards of quality of the journal is much more, and it will also give us the improved performance. And it will also give us the credibility. It provides us a good credibility because it has undergone a peer revision. So we should select a journal which is peer-reviewed journal. That is number 1. Number 2, it should be an index journal. So index of a journal, it's considered as a reflection of its quality. How good is a journal? That quality is given by usually under which indexing system it is been there. So over the years, many popular indexation services have developed, like you all know, Medline, PubMed, Embase, Scopus, EBSCO, all these are publishing electronic databases. Any journal to get registered under any index journal, indexing system has to undergo a rigorous process. There has to be continuous, good quality of journals published that are there. Only then it can be taken into any of these databases. So if a journal is indexing any of these good systems, that means it is having a good quality. And the third one is the impact factor. The impact factor of an academic journal, it's a measure reflecting the average number of citations to recent articles published in the journal. So what is citation? Suppose I read an article and I really appreciate the research that is being carried out there, and whatever technique they have followed, maybe I would like to do that for our patients, and now I also found it is useful. So I want to do some maybe clinical trials or something like that, and I want to publish it as my finding as a journal. And in that condition, whatever the basic article what I have read, I liked it, right? So I will be taking that part, or I will be citing it as my reference in my write-up. So whenever we utilize a piece of information from a journal for our further manuscript, then we call it as a citation. So any journal having number of articles, recent articles published, who have higher number of citations. That means obviously many people are liking the work. So such articles are produced in this journal. Then the impact factor of the journal will be high. So there is also a journal citation report, JCR. It includes a 5-year impact factor. So when the impact factor is high, that means the quality of the journal is absolutely high. So we should select a journal which has got a good impact factor also. So friends, the selection of a journal, just to recall what we have done so far. 1, it should be a peer-reviewed journal. 2nd, it should be indexed journal. It should have been indexed in a very good databases like PubMed and EBSCO and all those things. And number 3, it should have a good impact factor. So if these 3 are there, then the journal what you selected could be of a good standard quality. Right. So we have done the selection of a journal. We have picked up a good journal with considering all the good factors. Now out of the journal, there are so many articles. Now which article to do the selection? Then again we are into trouble, right? Which article to select? So again there are some guidelines to go through for the proper selection of the article. So let us see those. Consider articles on topics of interest to you that will generate conversation. Like, for example, in our field, we have some will be interested in restorative therapy, some will be interested in endodontics, some are in aesthetic, surgeries, and some are in absolutely in apical surgeries. Whatever is your interest of choice, what is your interest, that you can pick up, because whenever you like something, you do a better presentation in that, isn't it? So you choose an article of topic of your own interest. Also, consider topics discussed at the journal club meetings earlier in the year. Whatever your seniors have already done the journal club, that you check it so that you will not select the same article, because after all, variety is a good thing, right? So we would like to have some new information and a variety. So select an article which has not been covered so far and which is a decent one. Also, whatever is your field of interest, you can check it. You can put this your area of research, what specialization, what you would like to read. You can go even for the PubMed search, and then you can type, say for example, I want to have some idea about one of my patients is having pain after I started the initiation of the root canal therapy. Then I would like to know what is the literature available regarding management of this post-endodontic pain or symptomatic irreversible pulpitis. So this is my interest. So if I put this into this, the search box, then I can get the articles which are there. So out of those articles, I can select anyone which can be, kind of a recent one in that particular field. Say, for example, here the effect of treatment of submucosal injections of tramadol and dexamethasone on post-endodontic pain in mandibular molar teeth with symptomatic irreversible pulpitis, a randomized controlled clinical trial published in IEJ 2020. So I thought maybe this is a good one. So when I click on that, you get an abstract, and you get the URLs to get the article. So you can go to that particular site, and you can even download the article and you can read about that also. That way also you can have a selection of the article from a journal. So article selection, once if we do properly, an outstanding journal club presentation, it depends upon a interesting and well written paper. And we have to, as a postgrad students, you're supposed to collect some articles, around 7 to 8 articles of your choice, and then you can go to your mentors, okay, and then show them the articles, and they can select any one which is good out of those, and that can be selected as a journal club topic. But remember, this should be done at least 1 month, 30 days prior to your slot of presentation. So the article of merit can be made with the help of your mentors or colleagues. Right. Now your mentor has selected an article, okay, and then you both are going to sit and evaluate the article for its credential and its validity. So let us see how do we do the article selection. So first of all, we are going to check the background of the article. The goals are to describe the rationale for and the study question. So what's the rationale why this research is being done, and what is its clinical relevance? Okay, so is it having any clinical relevance which we can use it in our clinical practice? Say for example, what I have posted to you all. Okay, so first is the condition is irreversible acute irreversible pulpitis. Symptomatic pulpitis is a difficult case to handle, all of us know, and the patients will be having pre-operatively there will be good amount of pain, and it is literature also says that the patients who are having pre-operative pain will also have a post-operative pain also in good number of cases. Up to 29 to 69% of people can have that post-endodontic pain. That means after the first visit. So that's a very unpleasant situation for the patients, because they have come for the pain and you have started the treatment and yet they are experiencing the pain. That's not good, isn't it? So in those conditions, it really becomes a clinical relevance. How will you manage this pain? So this research has been done on that. So it's a clinically relevant research. And to highlight the preclinical and clinical research that led to the current trial. So was this problem now only it has come? No, it was there earlier also. So what was the research that has been done earlier? So there were different methods they have given in the introduction that were tried, and then after trying that also, there will be there is an existing lacunae. So what is that lacunae? We have to understand. So what is the purpose of the article, and what is the question posed clearly stated. So there were different methods that were tried, okay, but then all these methods couldn't give a perfect solution because some of the researchers found a different answer and some of them were they're finding a different answer. So it was not very clearly stated, and different routes of administration of these drugs were there. So they wanted to check the here in this case the prednisolone as well as the tramadol with a newer method of administration, that is submucous injection. Mucous injection they wanted to check, and is the question posed clearly? So usually the question will be posed in the PICO format. You all know that, isn't it? So the population and the intervention and comparison and output. So has it been properly stated in the article? We are supposed to check. And also, what is hypothesis which underpins the research? What's a hypothesis? It's a proposed explanation for a phenomenon. Like, probably we may think it may happen like that. Maybe both of these drugs, what have been tried, the dexamethasone and the tramadol, may give the equal effect, or it may not give the equal effect. The research is only going to tell us. But to start with, we can have an hypothesis. Probably this can be. So there can be a null hypothesis, there can be a research hypothesis, or there can be an alternative hypothesis. So a good paper should have a hypothesis from which they will start their work. Also, after that, you are supposed to check how is the study executed. Is the methodology appropriate? Is the methodology up to the standard methodology for that particular, treatment plan? And are there any confounding or perplexing variables? So have the authors taken care of that? Was there equal distribution of the age? Was there equal distribution of the gender? Like that, there may be so many confounding factors. So are they taken care of or not? That has to be checked in the when you check the execution of the study. And what were the results? Are there any categorical data, and what type of data they are, nominal or ratio type or inverse? What type of data they have, they are planning to collect? Because depending upon your data, your statistical analysis will change, right? And what were the statistical analysis? What they appropriate for that particular data? So that also we are supposed to check, because we are doing a research from the sample of the population, from the mean existing population, right? So for that, we need to have a proper statistics so that whatever research we have done should be translated to the bigger population. If the statistical test we have not incorporated the appropriate one, then the outcome of the research may be different, right? So we should have whether the statistics have been appropriately utilized or not, we have to check. Then application of the study. It's very important, I think somebody has put the annotation can be removed also, Dr. Sujata. Annotation can be off also. Okay, thank you. And finally, but it's very, very important, what is the application of the study? Is the information helpful to the clinical practice? We cannot have just the benchtop research and leave it there only. A research, it is well said by the great scientists, the research, if it is put to the clinical practice, then only it is a real valid research. We do the research and we do not utilize it to clinical practice. We just leave it after a dissertation. No, that's not a good research. So we should also find out from the study whether it will help me in my clinical practice to give a better treatment for the patients. And does it represent ideas for future research? If you all see the articles at the end of the article, a good article will always put forward their limitations. What limitations they have observed in their study, they will put it, these are the limitations we have observed, and these are the fields require further research. And that's very good because the research is there, it is continuing. And also we will get some ideas from this, right, for our future research. So a good article also should give you the few ideas for the future research. Yeah. So we have selected an article and we also have selected the journal and the article, and we have also evaluated the journal. Sorry, the article. Preparing the participant. What madam, you should person who is going to present the
Thank you.
go to this. The evaluating the article, we also check for the application of the. Is this information help practice? whatever research we do, stop and leave it there is of no use for us. We do the research, and whatever information we will get out of that should be relevant to the clinical practice to make our patients, get a better treatment, and we should have a good practice, isn't it? So whether the whatever research is being done, is it helpful to the clinical practice, we are supposed to check. And at the end of the article, every researcher, if a good quality journal is there, an article is there, they put forward whatever their, some of the limitations that they found in their research. So they say these were the limitations that were there in this particular research, and they also say this particular field requires more research. So that is the best. If the paper is giving these ideas for the future research, it will be a well-written paper, because the research doesn't stop there, and we also get some ideas for our more clinical research also. So a good paper should also give the ideas for the future research. So if these all things are there, then that article, whatever you selected, is of a good quality. Okay. So we have now selected an appropriate journal and an appropriate article, and we have evaluated the article also. Now next is preparing the participants. Okay. So you must be wondering, what is there for the participants to be prepared? Only the person who is going to present the journal club should prepare, right? No. As we are the participants in the journal club, all the co-PGs and also the faculty of the department need to prepare themselves. They need to read the article and they should come prepared for the discussion. So how are we helping them for that? It is easiest for you to email the PDF files, but easiest for participants if you hand them an article on paper. And this has to be done at least 1 week prior to your presentation, right? So people can get some time out of their busy schedule. They can go through the article and they know about what the discussion is going to happen. They may have some queries, they come prepared, and there can be a good healthy discussion that happens. So you have to make sure that you request your OPGs and the faculty to come prepared for the journal club presentation. Yeah, now comes the best practices for preparing for your big presentation. You all are ready now, set. Okay, now you are going to have a presentation. So for that, your PowerPoint presentation has to be shown to your preceptor or your guide. Meet with a preceptor who can go over, okay, or help you identify some of the main points. Your guide or your moderator, he can go through your presentation, PowerPoint presentation, and check for it. And if there is any improvement that requires, they may suggest you that you're supposed to do, and again get it checked back by then. Again, you should go and show the corrections and get it finally approved by your guide. Then pre-test anything you are going to project, and make sure there is enough chalk and dry eraser markers. So your PowerPoint presentation has to be selected. It has to be checked, because sometimes the slide color may not be good or the font size may not be that appropriate. So it is always better on the previous day you go and have a check. You project it on your big screen and check everything is okay, and properly whether you are able to read the points, everything. And also during the journal club discussion, sometimes we may have a whiteboard and we can draw something and we can have a discussion. So make sure that there is the marker pens are there and a board is also available if you want to have a certain discussion. So these all have to be kept ready before the day of your presentation. Now, so you are going to do the presentation of the journal club under the normal contents like your introduction and aim and objectives of the study and the materials and methods what they have followed. And please remember the material methods should be in detail. What is the method they have followed? Because if we want to do the same the same research or the same clinical procedures we want to follow, we should know the details so that we are able to exactly replicate the procedure. So the materials and method should be in detail. And then you're supposed to talk about the results and the statistical analysis. You also have to check. You are going to put what are the different statistical tests they have been used and what are the different subgroups and how they have evaluated. And then you are going to talk about the discussion and the conclusion. And my dear friends, I want you all to remember, discussion is the heart of any scientific journal article. So, and when you're presenting, make sure that at least 60% of your slides are on discussion, because you need to go in detail about the research and about the results of this particular journal, how it is been, given a reference by the previous studies, and what is the explanation that is given for any performance, better performance in a particular group. That all has to be discussed in detail with the evidences. So please take a sufficient amount of time and prepare many slides on the discussion topic. and then finally comes to the critical appraisal. So this is what we are going to have an additional step which is going to make us more perfect in the field of science. So let us see how do we do the critical appraisal of the journal and the article. So I want you all to remember the 3 points I discussed for the journal. It should be peer reviewed. So what article, what I've shared with you all is from the Journal of International Endodontic Journal. So you can go to the website and check the IEJ website. Then here you can see it is written as all the manuscripts are subjected to peer review. That means it's definitely a journal, good journal, because all the articles are reviewed by the peers. Yes, so number 1, the article is a peer-reviewed journal. The journal is a peer-reviewed journal. Good. Second, indexing. So again, check in the website thing. And what is this index in? So this journal is indexed in PubMed, okay, NLM, and also Science Citation. And there are many others, AppSquared, all. Okay, so all these are very standard electronic databases. So good, this journal is also indexed in a very good database. Could be, probably it is a very good journal. Then coming to the impact factor. So look at the impact factor. You can type for the impact factor of the particular journal and you can find out. 2019, it is having an impact factor of 2.801. It is phenomenal. You know, the impact factor 3.8 is really good. So the credential of the journal is very good. So probably I have selected a right journal. That's how you select according to our guidelines whether the journal selected is good or not. Right. So now we will check for the every journal will give some key points, right? So you can also take those key points and try to put them in the PubMed Central. And when you put this key points and search, this is the only article in fact it has come, or sometimes it will be the first article that comes. So that means it's again a well standard journal because it is indexed very well in the PubMed, and it is a first article that has come in the PubMed Central. So it is probably it is having a good standard. So now let us see the authors. So author also we are supposed to check the credentials of the author. So he is from Adiyaman University, and then he has got 15 publications and he has got 37 citations. That means good. So the people have liked 37 of his the research papers have been cited elsewhere. That means probably he has a good scientific background. So the author is also having good credentials. You can go to the ResearchGate and you can find the all the information regarding the author. Now there are certain guidelines. Then we are supposed to follow something is called as equator.org for evaluating the journal. Evaluating the article. So I would like to take you all through this equator.org. So when you go to the Google and type equator.org, this is the page you're going to see. And now you're going to click on to the search for reporting guidelines. So if you click on to this, you will be going to this page. This page will get opened up. So here it is so beautifully it is shown. What is equator? Equator means enhancing the quality and transparency of health research. And this is internationally accepted all over the world. You can even see here, these resources are also available in German, Portuguese and Spanish, because those countries, they do not follow the English and they follow their native languages. So this is also available in their native language also. So all over the world, there have been standard guidelines that have been put forward for everybody to follow. So you can see here the study type and the clinical area of your interest, what type of report you want to check. And this side you can see the reporting guidelines for different types of studies. You can see randomized trials, you have consult guidelines, observational studies, systematic reviews, and the case reports. How do we write the animal preclinical studies? For everything they have given the guidelines. These all are the guidelines. So when you click, what we have selected is a randomized clinical trial, right? So when you click on this concert, you have to go and click on the concert guidelines. Then you get a page like this. And here you can see there is a concert checklist Word. So there is a Word document that is available. You please click on that. Then you get into a document like this. So here you are going to evaluate one by one everything about that particular article. So are you ready? Shall we start with the evaluation? Yeah. So first the title and the abstract. So they say identification as a randomized trial should be there in the title. Yes. The authors have given in the article title as a randomized clinical trial. And they should give a structured summary of trial design, methods, results, and conclusions. Yeah, they have given a good abstract having all these details in the abstract. So you put tick there. And then coming to the introduction, background and objectives, scientific background and explanation of the rationale. Yeah, they have given, there were many drugs that were being tried in different modes. Like, it was used as a pre-operative or post-operative, or as an intracranial medicament, or a systemic administration. All different methods were done. And what were the findings of different authors, also different research people also they have told. So they have given a rationale for this. And they also have told that, the newer one is the submucosal way of administration. And they also have told that tramadol, the dexamethasone has been already tried. Okay, whereas some literature is there, whereas the tramadol is, there is very limited literature available for that. It's very well used in the field of oral surgery, but in endodontics it is not, there is not much literature. Though some of us we do prescribe, but very limited literature is available, they say. So they said that there is a need for this to check whether it is going to be effective in controlling the post-operative pain in case of symptomatic irreversible pulpitis. So they said this is the rationale behind this particular study. And also they have given the specific objectives. Okay, these we want to try. So we want to compare these two drugs for as a submucosal injection on the pain outcome. But only thing is they have not put a hypothesis in the form of a hypothesis. As I explained, there can be null hypothesis saying that administration of tramadol, a submucosal injection of tramadol or dexamethasone may not have a, both of them will be same, or they may not have a different outcome. Like that, they could have put one hypothesis. Only that hypothesis is not mentioned in this presentation, in this article. Right, now moving on to the methods, the trial design, they have very well given what type of trial, you're supposed to give a trial design, like whether it is parallel or factorial, and they have very well given it is a randomized single center, controlled and double blind parallel group. Like that, they have given very clearly what is the type of design they have done. So you put tick there. And important changes to methods after trial commencement, such as eligibility criteria, with reasons they have mentioned, what were the criteria they have selected also, they have mentioned very clearly and in detail. And you're supposed to check eligibility criteria and settings and locations where the data were collected. That's again very important. And these people have taken the patient from their own department who have come for the treatment. And settings and locations data, yeah, that is done. And interventions, what are the different groups and what intervention was done in each group. The interventions for each group with sufficient details to allow replication. As I told you, it should be in such a detailed manner so that if we want to do similar type of research or similar type of protocol, we should be able to do. So they have to give a very detailed, and they have also given a very detailed and very standard protocol of doing this proper step. They have explained after your LA and after your they have to give this after lip numbness is achieved. They are going to again apply the topical anesthesia, and then they are going to do this submucosal injection of these two drugs. So they have given it in particular detail about the intervention type and outcomes. Completely defined pre-specified primary and secondary outcome measures, including how and when they were assessed. Again, that they have given. They have used a standard protocol, that is HP visual analog scale, and they also have mentioned what are the different times at which they have analyzed and why. Also, they have primary outcome is the pain. Okay, what is the type of pain, and secondary outcome is was there any population which required the rescue medicine, which group people had to go for the rescue medicine. So that also have analyzed. And any changes to trial outcomes after the trials commence with reason. If you had to do some changes, we have to mention. But in this case, there was not necessary. It wasn't necessary, so they have not mentioned. Now moving on to the sample size. This is very, very important, how the sample size was determined. And in this particular article, they have also mentioned that there was a pilot study that was conducted, and upon the results of that, they have calculated the sample size. So definitely if the sample size is good, then you're going to have a good outcome of the research. And when applicable, explanation for any interim analysis and stopping guidelines also. Suppose you have to stop the research, then what is the reason, and then that also, if it is stopped, then you have to give the guidelines in the article. However, it wasn't necessary in this particular article. Now, moving on to the randomization sequence, that is sequence generation and allocation concealment mechanism. So, method of used to randomize the allocation sequence that has been done. They have given the the website where they have gone and they have done the randomization, and type of randomization, details of any restrictions such as blocking or block size that has been mentioned here, and the mechanism used to implement the random allocation sequence, such as sequentially numbered containers or describing any steps taken to conceal the sequence until the interventions were assigned. So this is also very well given, how they generated all these different syringes with drugs were covered with particular they were concealed and they had just given the groups, but the doctor who administered didn't know about this. Okay, the nurse only who prepared all this, she knew about this. So who generated the random allocation sequence, who enrolled the participants, who assigned the participants to intervention, everything should be very clearly given in the article. So here again everything is given. So the sister who did this only knew what syringe had what type of drug. So they have to explain in detail who had done all this kind of concealment mechanism, everything. And the blinding is again very important. If done, who was blinded as assessment to intervention. For example, participants or care providers or any other. So in this case also probably the person who who evaluated the pain evaluation, those were blinded to the group. So they were asked to evaluate the patients regarding the pain perception in the different time limits. Yeah. Now moving on to the statistics. If relevant, description of similar intervention should be given, and statistical methods used to compare the groups of primary and secondary outcomes, and methods for additional analysis such as subgroups analysis and adjusted analysis. That is very well done here, because there are two groups and again there are subgroups with a different time limits. So each one they have given very neatly, very clearly, and they have also given a flow chart there. Okay, so you also check for the participant flow. Okay, and that is very well given in this article. Like this, it is being assigned.
Sorry, Girija, just a minute.
Yeah.
Somebody who's doing that, please stop it. It's really irritating for the speaker. I think you only can remove that annotations. Nobody can. I'm sorry.
No, actually, taken care by as started the meeting also.
No, it cannot be done by us, because you're the one screen sharing. You only can remove the annotations. So I'm just requesting all participants to please not use their, don't try doing something on the screen. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, let me check. Okay. Yeah. Now, like this. This is very important. In a good, you would have definitely given this how many cases were selected, was randomized, how it was allocated, and how many students, the patients follow available.
Your voice is breaking again.
Okay. Now,
just this now only we could hear.
Okay, thank you. Maybe net connections. So we have to check for the part whether it is given in the article, and recruitment dates defining the follow-up should be given. The patients until what period the recruitment. Usually that period also will be given, because done for a month. 6 months later, they will give the period of recruitment, and why ended or was stopped. Give the reasons, and the baseline data, a table showing baseline data, clinical characteristics of one, and in this given a clear demographic allocation, that is number of patients from each different gender. There was an equal demographic here. number of participants, okay, and included in each analysis was by again given article and the and estimation for group and the estimated effects and its precision. Everything is this particular article of sample size, effective size given. Follow the scientific methodology to number of. Also have to check 70 is
Girija, again it is cutting. Now it's becoming little more. Sorry. Your network is a problem because this is happening everywhere.
Really? Okay. Put my mobile data also. Actually, I am on a landline only. Let us see.
No, right now till now it was okay, but only this slide there was a lot of cut in your in your speech.
Now, are you able to hear?
Now it's fine, but when you are speaking, sometimes it gets cut.
Okay, okay.
Just keep doing. In case if there is any problem, I'll let you know. Only this slide, okay. Not before.
Okay, okay. I'll just go through this again. Okay. Yeah. And we have to see. You all have heard till the results. So, results should flow for the outcomes and the use the proper estimate size and its precision. We all go for 95 interval, and that is all into the and that the analysis done group analysis all are in this particular. So any important harms or effects of let us go with the slides. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We are back now to the analysis of the article. We are up to now the outcomes and the estimation, right? So for each primary and secondary outcome results for each group and estimated effect size and its precision, everything is explained in our particular article. They have given the estimation how they have done, and results also they have given for each subgroup for 6 hours and 12 hours and 24 hours. Everything they have very neatly they have explained, and what is the statistical difference between two groups for each time time frame also they have explained very well. And a very important thing is if there is any harm, any important harms or unintended effects in each group should be mentioned. And in this article, they have mentioned for the tramadol subgroup, only one patient had some nauseating kind of side effect. So that also should be mentioned in, if it is a good article. And moving on to the very important thing is the discussion. So trial limitations, addressing sources of potential bias, imprecision if relevant, multiplicity of analysis, only that they have explained, but not in very much detail in this particular article. And if we look at the generalizability, that is external validity, applicability of our trial findings, that they have explained clearly in the discussion part. And interpretation also is very well done. Interpretation consistent with the results, balancing benefits and harms, considering other relevant evidences. So for each drug, and each type of administration, what is the evidence that is available? What is the previous literature that has happened? How many of them had the similar results? How many of them got the different results? So what could be the reason? And how these drugs, they are effective? What is the mechanism of action? Everything is explained very neatly in this particular article. So finally, they also will give the conclusion as whether it can be practiced for the clinical situation or not. Here, because the sample size is less, so they cannot give the conclusion as such, but they can give the inferences. So what they have given the inference in this article is both of these, they can be used as an effective method to control the post-operative pain. And they also have mentioned here that the prednisolone was the, that was it showed a little better improvement or better pain management compared to the tramadol. but both of them also can be used as a method of effective pain management post endodontic treatment. So like that, they have given a good conclusion also. And you are supposed to check whether there is a registration number and the name of trial registry is given. That they have very well given. What is the trial registry number also they have mentioned, and which is the authority also they have mentioned. And where the full trial protocol can be assessed if available. So they have given the website, and that there we can, they have given the number. And when we go and check in the clinical registry, we can also get the full clinical trial design also there. So that is also available. And the last one is the funding, source of funding and support. Suppose such as the supply of drugs, role of finders, that is very important. You know, because sometimes some of the trials or some of the research are funded by some of the companies which are manufacturing that particular drug. Then we have to be little, you know, careful, because then it can be a little dicey. Maybe without our knowledge or partially, the results can go in their favor. Right? So we should never, we should always check for the funding. If any companies are funding, then we may not take it as a true value for that particular article. But suppose the funding is done by any government companies, you know, like DST or UGC or NIH, anything like that, if you know, funding is there from such agencies, then it can be taken as very important finding. In fact, it is taken as a very high quality research, because unless the research is good quality, they will not fund you. So if the funding is good, then again it may be a good research quality. If no funding is, then again it is okay, because you know, sometimes we fund ourselves, that is also okay. But if some companies are funding, then maybe we have to be a little careful in taking the quality of that particular research. So now we have to check at the references. What is the style of referencing? And as per the guidelines, all the references were you know, quoted properly with any of the type of either Harvard or Vancouver system, whether that has been followed or not, we are supposed to check. And also we are supposed to check for the range of references. You know, a good article should have the range of references from the oldest to the newest. This article is, you know, published in 2019. So up to 2018, up to the latest information should be taken into the manuscript writing. And you also should have iconic authors and iconic studies. If in particular group of people have done a lot of work, and whether their studies are quoted in the references or not, that also should be checked. So, and all the reference articles, if they are preferably PubMed indexed or good standard journals, then again it will be more effective. So you're supposed to even check till the references about the quality of the article. So once in this particular journal article, what you selected, the references are up from 1984 to 2000. That means it is definitely they have included wide range of references, and information is available till date. So once all this has been done, then that means yes, we have selected a appropriate journal. Then we will be happy, and we are kind of, you know, given a good presentation also to the audience. Now, recently, you know, it's a very interesting and very we should be very proud of these things, because V. Nagendra Babu, one of the eminent endodontists, they have come up with this changes to the author guidelines. You know, they have published in as an editorial in IEG. So for our field of endodontics, they have come up with the new guidelines. These are preferred reporting items for study designs in endodontics, that is PRIDE, and preferred reporting items for case reports in endodontics, that is PRICE. Preferred reporting items for randomized trials in endodontics, they have given good guidelines, and have given the website here, and I request all of you to please go through this, because they have done a very good modification. Very strategic points have been introduced in everything. What I discussed was whatever has been followed so far, that is in general for all the subjects, whereas what Dr. Nagendra Babu has done is especially for the endodontics, and they have added very nice points. So henceforward now, after this, all our PDs will be doing the analysis as per these guidelines. So you can also follow, because that is exclusively for our specialty. Yes, now once the presentation is over, there is going to be a very important, now the debate that comes is the final discussion. So typically each participant can voice their view relating to several questions, such as appropriateness of the research design, the statistics employed, or the appropriateness of the controls that were used, anything, you can have any queries, you can have any doubts, you can raise it across to the presenter, and they will be able to give an answer to you. Otherwise, your faculty members are there, they are going to help you. So you can have a very healthy and good discussion about the topic. And also, if anybody has an extra information available, they can add it, so that the whole, the population over there who are attending this will be benefited. So a good general presentation has to end with a very good discussion. So nobody should feel, the hesitation should not be there. And whatever is the doubt, especially the postgrad students, they should always learn and they should put it as a final discussion. So with that, you'll be able to do, you have completed a very good general presentation. So this is how appropriate presentation is done, and this is a workload on the Journal Club. Now, I would like to say a small thing here, that is, it's a quality as well as a quantity of practice that turns someone into an expert. It is said by Misty Copeland, an American ballet dancer. So I am very, I tell you all at this juncture that there is a small curve in learning this, the following the equator.org. It's a small learning curve, but I'm sure once you do more and more presentations utilizing that, then definitely you will become a professional and you'll be able to do a very good general presentation. So with this, I would like to thank you, and it's Girija Sajjan here signing off until we meet again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Girija, for that excellent coverage of the very, I would say for all PG students, it would be a nightmare, no? Presenting journals.
Very nice.
Yeah. So, and as you said aptly, that, it's not just the presenter who has to prepare the presentation, but it is also the participants who need to read and come.
Yes.
The students as well as the faculty. So that's a nice point. Because for us, we also have this where we ask all the students to prepare and come, and they have to necessarily ask a question. So this is very well said by you, so that it becomes more of a discussion rather than one person taking talking about that.
Yeah, that is actually the beautiful point of a journal club. Everybody should participate.
Yes, and I would request you to kindly stop sharing your screen.
Yeah.
So from all of us, we would like to thank you, and a small token of our appreciation in the form of a certificate to you.
That's very nice. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this wonderful. And I should say that, and on record, that we actually, this is our college IDs, to which we have a max of about 100 participants. That's what we had been told. But as you were started off, then now we had a participation of about 200 plus. So
that's nice. Great.
That is really commendable. It speaks volume about the speaker.
No, that is all your arrangement, Mahalakshmi. You are the one who can, gather everybody. And I can see Dr. Aarti also there, Dr. Balgopal, and Dr. all eminent people. That's the reason it is like this.
And there are so many faculty members also who, who wanted to know. And Vinuta is there from JSS.
Really?
Shalini.
Okay. Hello, Vinuta.
And so I'm so happy that we are, though we are faculty, we are still learning.
Yes.
We all are learning, and will learn to the last breath of our life.
Of course. Yes, that is very true.
So,
well said.
Thanks once again.
Thank you so much for all the audience. And it was a really great honor for me to be among all of you, because many of you know I am very personally know, and you all are good friends of mine. So I am very happy to be with all of you, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you all audience also to bear with me with so many difficulties.
Okay. Hopefully, actually, COVID has made us I would say there's a lot of negative points about COVID, but a positive thing is that now we are able to do so many webinars for which we used to think twice, or how to call the person.
Correct.
All that. Now we are connected digitally all around the world.
It's comfortable also for everyone.
We should thank COVID for that.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye. Namaste.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Sujata. Bye.
Yes, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.